Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be doing a video on my Victoria Beckham Beauty Liners. So I'm going to be talking about the eyeliners as well as the lip liners, but mainly focusing on the eyeliners and how I like to use them and providing some tips and tricks that hopefully will help you if you've been having some issues with these liners. I have all the shades of the eyeliner, so I'll swatch all of them as well so you can see. And I have the first 3 shades of the lip liner, so I'll do a little swatch of those too. And just talk about the formulas and the colors and how I like to use all of these liners. So if you'd like to see all of that, just keep on watching. So I'm gonna start with showing you how I usually apply the eyeliners. So my favorite and most used shade is Cocoa. You can see mine is very small, but I have a backup because I never want to be without this one. My favorite way to use this is just in my upper waterline. So I do my tight lining with this shade almost every day. And I love it for that because it's really rich in color. I love a brown liner. It's my favorite color because it's just a little bit less stark than a black, but it still has good impact. And the formula of these is so smooth and soft that it just catches onto the skin immediately and glides on so easily. So I'm just gonna first show you how I like to do my tight lining with this liner. So I usually like to go right into the inner corner. So I just start there. You can see it picks up the color really quickly. And then I just kind of do short little motions and just drag it all the way along. And then at the end, I kind of like to flip up a little bit. It doesn't really add much actual color there, but I find that that flicking motion just kind of pulls the direction of the eye up a little bit. So that's all I do for my tight lining. I'm gonna do my other eye now. That's it. It goes on so quickly and easily, and you can use that as just your only eye makeup for the day. I find it just makes the lash line look thicker and defines the eyes in a really nice way. Now I know that one of the issues with these Satin Kajal liners is that they smudge and bleed, and they are definitely very smudgeable. I'm going to show you how I like to use them to smudge later on, but sometimes you don't want that smudging. They can definitely smudge when you put them in your upper waterline. They can transfer down to the lower lash line, and for me they usually do transfer. So what I like to do for that is I just let it set down. I let it transfer, but I let it set down. It still stays really rich and pigmented on the top part even though it's transferring a little bit. Let it set down, let it dry down, and then I just take a Q-tip, a little cotton bud, and kind of run it along my lower, usually it transfers right to the lower waterline, so I just run it along there, and that generally takes care of it, and I don't have issues with more transfer going on. I do tend to get quite a lot of transfer right into the inner, sort of almost right in the tear duct, but again, just taking a Q-tip will pretty much get rid of that. Sometimes I forget to do that, but if you have that issue, you can do that. And then if you want to clean up the lower waterline even more, you can take one of those nude eye pencils, tons of brands make them, and then you can just pull that along after you've removed most of the color with the Q-tip. Just pull that along the lower waterline and that'll really brighten and freshen everything up as well. I find that you can also reduce the level of transfer and smudging with these liners with the skincare products and the makeup products that you're using with them. So I used to use the Kiehl's Avocado, the creamy eye treatment that they have. It's a really creamy, thick eye cream that felt lovely and I liked how it looked, but it caused a lot more transfer than the eye cream that I use currently, which is an Innisfree one. I'll put up a little photo of the product. And I find that eye cream is really great and it really has reduced the amount of smudging and transfer that I've experienced with these liners. But it still provides a lot of really nice hydration and just a little bit of a glowy, dewy look that I like to get from my eye creams. I find that you can also really reduce smudging and transfer with these liners by having powder around the eyes. So if you're planning to do like a full eyeshadow look, I would say do that first. If you're using powders and so on, do that first and then do your liner, and the powder is really going to help to stem any sort of smudging or transfer from the liner. And if you're not doing a full eye look but you don't mind wearing powder, you might want to just use a little bit of powder, just sort of run it over your eyes after you've done your concealer or whatever. And again, that powder is just going to stem the flow of any of that product really feathering or smudging or transferring. So I think that's pretty much set down, and you can see I don't really have much transfer here, but if I wanted to clean it up, I would just take a Q-tip. There's a little bit, I can see a little line there. Sometimes even just your fingers, taking your clean fingers and just kind of rubbing them along the bottom there is going to take care of any of that transfer. So I think there are two other ways that I really like to use these liners. One is to basically just take any one of the colors and kind of put it all over as a cream eyeshadow, and it blends out really nicely. You can even blend it with your finger or just a brush. You just kind of scribble it over the eye and then pat it out or blend it out, and you've got a beautiful cream eyeshadow look. You can leave it just like that, or you can put other shadows on top of it. So whether you're building a whole eye look on top, that can look really nice. It just adds more drama and depth to the look. Or you could take maybe just like a topper shade, like a nice shimmery, sparkly topper, and just kind of pat that where you want to over the lid. Or even using like a potted cream shadow can look really nice all over as well. Again, it just adds more dimension and depth to the eye look. The other way that I like to use them is just a little bit more subtly, but the same kind of concept of kind of drawing on the liner and then smudging it out. So I'm going to take my bronze liner and I'm just going to pull it along my lash line as though I were just doing kind of a thick liner. Like that's another way. You could just leave it like that. It looks really nice. But I'm gonna draw some into the outer corner here too. And then I'm just gonna take a brush. This is the mini booster from Sonia G. I'm just gonna take this brush and just blend through. Blends really easily. I would suggest doing one eye at a time if you're doing this kind of a technique, because it could set down too much to blend it if you try to do both eyes at the same time, or draw onto both eyes before blending. And then you can just build it up if you want more. Just throw on a little bit more and blend it out. I already have a powder bronzer on my lid, so I'm just kind of adding more depth and dimension to the outer part. That's what that looks like. I'm just going to do the other eye to even them out. These also look really nice on the lower lash line, so I think the bronze one is nice for that because it's not too deep of a color. I don't like to go too deep on my lower lash line usually, so I just, same concept, just kind of throw it on there and then blend it out. Really quick and easy. But yeah, I really do like to think of these liners as a hybrid between a cream eyeshadow and a liner because they're so blendable and creamy. Okay, so now I can see, since I had my eyes closed, a bit more of that color has transferred onto the lower waterline. So I'm just going to take a Q-tip and draw it along there. And taking a little bit of extra care on the inner corner where it really tends to build up for me. Just do a little twirl on the inner corner to really make sure I've got it. There you go, nice and cleaned up now. Another issue that I've heard of people having with these liners is sharpening them. So what I use is this NARS sharpener. I've had this for years and it has the 2 different sized holes, and I use the smaller hole for these liners. I'm gonna sharpen, this is my black one. So I think it just depends on the tool you're using. This one definitely works best for all of my liners, not just these Victoria Beckham ones. So I just do a few twists there and it's sharpened. These are wooden, so there is a little bit of wood I can see kind of poking out there, but I feel that it's far enough from the tip, which I usually use these like straight on, or if I'm doing it on my eyelids, I could do it sideways. But I'm not too concerned about any scratching or irritation on the lids themselves. I've never had any issues with scratching or pieces of the wood coming off and injuring me or anything like that. So I find that if you have sharpened it enough, then you're not going to have too much of an issue there. So I think that if it's sharpened enough, you've got enough of the kohl pencil there that the wood is not going to be a problem for you. At least it's not for me. So that's my best recommendation for sharpening, is just to have a good sharpener like this NARS one. So now I wanted to just show you each of the colors. So I have 6 of them here. So this one is bronze, Bordeaux, black, ash, navy noir, and cocoa. And as I was swatching those, I was thinking, if you have issues with them just being too creamy and malleable right from the start, when you're even, trying to sharpen them or apply them, you might want to keep them chilled. It's a very hot day here, and I noticed that they are a little bit more sort of smushy than they even normally are. So you might want to just throw them in the fridge or keep them in an air-conditioned room if that's an issue for you as well. And I think, if even these tips, I hope they help for you, but if they don't, not everything works for everybody. So these are my favorite liners. I know a lot of other people love them too, but I know a lot of people don't like them, and that's okay. Not everything's going to work for everybody. We all have different body chemistries and preferences. I don't think there's any single makeup product that is universally appealing. In terms of hopes and dreams for future shades from Victoria Beckham, I would love to see kind of like an olive green and or emerald green Satin Kajal liner. I think that would be just perfect and would really suit the rest of the range as well. It would fit in really nicely. I would also love to see a nude Satin Kajal liner from her, because I know how well these glide on, and that's one of the issues that I often have with nude liners that I'm trying to put on my lower waterline, is that they just don't like pick up. The color doesn't deposit very well onto the skin, and I know that the color deposits super well with these, so I would love to have a nude version of these Satin Kajal liners as well. So I wanted to talk about the lip liners too. As I mentioned, I have shades 1, 2, and 3. I don't think I have any special tips for these. Again, I use that NARS sharpener, but these I don't think people really have issues with like they do with the eyeliners. So I'm just going to show you the colors, and I'll talk a little bit about how I like to use each of these colors. All right, so here are shades 1, 2, and 3. I think you can see the distinct differences in these colors. They go from lightest to deepest here. 1 is a real peachy pink kind of color. 2 is still peachy, but has a lot more brown in it and a little more depth. And then 3 is more almost a cooler toned rosy pink kind of color. So each of these has a different purpose for me. The lightest one I really love most for if I don't want to alter the shade of a nude lipstick too much, or really any lipstick, like you can even use it with a red lipstick, but I just want to overdraw my lips a little bit, or just add kind of a canvas to put a lipstick on top of. I think number 1 is great because it's actually quite similar to my natural lip color. Number 2, I love for just adding a little bit of definition, especially if I'm using a lighter nude lipstick, but I need a little bit of depth and shadow around the outside of my lips. I love the number 2 for that. And then the number 3, I really like for using it with lipsticks that are sort of in that similar color range. And because it has a lot more pink in it, I love it for if I need to pinken up a lipstick a little bit. I find that one's perfect, either just around the edges or even just kind of haphazardly drawn onto the lips, and then I can pat it out and mix it in with the lipstick color, and it just adds that nice sort of blush rosy color. And these lip liners, again, these are a favorite formula for me. These and the Makeup Forever Artist Color Pencils are my 2 favorite lip liner formulas. I don't like long wearing lip liner formulas, I've discovered. I just don't like the way they feel. They feel a little bit heavy and kind of tacky or something, a little bit drying maybe on my lips. I just really don't like that sensation. These ones are not long wearing, but I find they wear quite well and they just feel very comfortable on my lips, and I don't ever have any issues with them feeling uncomfortable. And I can use them with glosses, lipsticks, you know, satins, mattes, whatever, and they feel pretty much like nothing on the lips regardless. They're also really nice with just a balm, so sometimes I'll just put a little bit of a lip mask or a balm on and then kind of pat some of it off and then just use these to add a little bit of color, and that works great as well. So I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. Let me know if you do have any other questions or comments or anything that I didn't cover. If I can help you, I'll do my best to do that. And if you'd like to see more from me and you haven't subscribed to my channel already, I'd love for you to do so. Thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.